Hey there, my name's Stevie and I'm a math tutor over at Central Washington at the University Math Center and the Academic Success Center. And today's video is going to be tips on how to prepare for a tutoring session. So the first tip is to send your material at least one day ahead of time. So if you make an appointment within like 3 days of your tutoring session, maybe even do it right when you make the appointment, just send over your material. It helps the tutor prepare for what you're going to be talking about, especially if it's a math appointment. It makes a huge difference. And this is especially important if it's a higher math class like calculus or differential equations. Those maths are pretty hard and we need time to review as a tutor before we're able to actually teach it to someone else. So go ahead and send those over. If you make an appointment the day of, just send them as soon as you make your appointment. And that way we'll have at least a couple hours to look it over and get everything prepared. And we're the most prepared to teach you when you come to the tutoring session. Tip number 2 would be to keep a list of specific questions that you want to ask your tutor. When you're working on homework, when you're in class, when you're studying, make sure that you have that list handy so you can just jot down what those questions are. Even when you're taking tests and quizzes and things, if you can remember those questions, write them down when you're done and ask them of your tutor when you get to the session. It's a great way to not forget what you had problems with while you were working through your class. Another important tip is to communicate to your tutor how you learn best. So whether you're a kinesthetic learner, an auditory learner, a do-it-yourself kind of learner, make sure you know that about yourself and tell that to the tutor, because then we're able to change how we tutor you to make sure that you are getting the most out of your sessions. If you're not really sure, there's lots of tests that you can take. One of them is on educationplanner.org. They have great resources on tests you can take to figure out what kind of learner you are. I'm sure you can find a lot. Just go ahead and type in Google, what kind of learner am I? And there's lots of quizzes that you can take to figure out what that is. That makes your learning more metacognitive and you know a way that you learn. And if your tutor knows this, then they're able to cater to you. Another important tip is to try to answer your own questions before you come to the tutoring session. Sometimes, you feel the need to just jot the question down and put it off to the side until your tutor is with you and you can ask them. But it's important to try out those problems on your own before you come to the tutoring session. Our best learning happens when we make mistakes. If you haven't tried the problem at all, it's hard for the tutor to know what we can help you with specifically. So if we can see what work you've done, we can find your strengths and weaknesses and point them out and help you get better with those weaknesses. Another important tip is to be honest with yourself and the tutor. When you're in the tutoring session and they've explained something to you that you don't quite understand, don't be afraid to ask them to tell you how to do it again or to ask them how to do it in a different way. Remember, our goal is to help you learn. So we have to be honest with each other and say, well, I don't really understand how you said that. And then we can say it in a different way. Tip number 6 is to have a positive disposition when you come to the tutoring center. This is especially true in math. Almost every student that comes to me for tutoring says that they're bad at math or that they've never been good at math. This is kind of a dangerous disposition to have because you're setting yourself up to already fail. By saying that you're not good at it inherently, you never give yourself room to grow. So instead of saying, I'm always been bad at math, say something like, I haven't been taught the tools to be good at math yet. And that way you give yourself room to grow and get better. Tip number 7 is to keep your class notes and textbook handy during the tutoring session. And this also goes with being good at taking notes. I have a video that I made before called How to Take Notes. It might benefit you to go look at this because it keeps your notes organized and you're ready to come to the tutoring center and get as much help as possible. If you don't have your notes, sometimes it can be hard for the tutor to know exactly what you're talking about. For instance, if your professor uses a certain terminology that we're not familiar with, if we can look back at the notes and be able to see the context of what you're saying, it'll be easier for us to figure out what is going on. So for instance, some professors use the term quadratic equation, whereas some people use quadratic formula. And it might just be nice for us to look at your notes and make sure that we're talking about the same equation. Tip number 8 is to take notes during the tutoring session. Sometimes students will come to the tutoring session and they will just rely on the tutor to write everything down and explain it all, and they won't actually take any notes. And this isn't really helping you at all if you want to actually look back at it and study it later. So go ahead and make sure you take those notes. Again, you can look back on my How to Take Notes video if you struggle to take notes. And it'll just help you be more organized and be able to look back on those tutoring sessions and get something out of it while you're studying. Final tip is to follow up and make another tutoring appointment. If the one that you just had went well, hold yourself accountable and make another one. Because that way you'll make sure that you keep up on your homework and keep up on studying. And tutoring is a great way to really hone in on your math skills and your writing skills or whatever you're getting tutored in. So make sure that you set up another appointment either with the tutor themselves or right after the tutoring appointment or whenever is most convenient, but go ahead and make sure you do it. I hope this video helped you get a better sense of how to prepare for tutoring sessions. As a tutor, I see a lot of students who just aren't really sure what to do when they come to tutoring sessions, and they're not really sure what to expect in the tutoring session. So I hope that this helps you be more prepared and hopefully helps you become a better student in general.